tuned in to the Andrew Lawton Show.
We'll get to Danielle Smith in a moment. I want to show, she tweeted this picture, which seems to just like trigger so many people here. She says, free speech means you don't just have to talk to the mainstream media. Finished up in Calgary, off to Edmonton next. Now, I liked the photo. I thought there was a little something missing from it. There was a je ne sais quoi that was missing from it. So I tried my own hand at fixing the photo and came up with this. Yeah, I think that right there is the real photo. This is a Canadian heritage moment. From left to right, there is Jordan Peterson, Premier Danielle Smith, Tucker Carlson, and Baron Black of Cross Harbour. Not, just to be technical here, he should never be called Lord Conrad Black. It is Conrad Lord Black, or just Lord Black, or just Conrad Black. But he's often erroneously referred to as Lord Conrad Black, which is just not the proper styling. But anyway, see, this is what happens when you watch too much Downton Abbey. But all of that notwithstanding, there was one more addition to the photo that I thought was even better than that. And I saw this one this morning. Let's put up this one. Oh, right there, we've got Baron Black of Cross Harbour, we've got Tucker Carlson, and then we've got Lady Rachel of Emmanuel. Rachel Emmanuel, who is the host of the Alberta Roundup on True North and graced the stage last night and joins us now, gracing our stage here. Rachel, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Happy to be here, as always.
So, Danielle Smith got a lot of heat when she first announced she would be participating in this. And her answer, I think, has been pretty consistent, which is, yeah, I do interviews all the time. That doesn't mean I disagree or agree with whatever's in them. But have we seen like those heads exploding since she took the stage more than they were initially?
People are pretty upset. I mean, of course, the radical left mainstream media had their articles coming out. I think Danielle put it very well when she joined the stage in Calgary yesterday. She said, look, just because I'm here doesn't mean I agree with everything that's being said by my colleagues on the stage. Of course, it's ridiculous that she would even have to say that, but that's just really where we are in the times today. There's not a lot of free and open debate anymore. That's not welcome, but she did make that clarification. Whether or not the media will actually take that call is up to them.
Yeah, I know that today she did an appearance. She was announcing something or other and was already facing, like, yet again another question from it. Let's roll that clip.
I do want to ask about your attendance at both of Tucker Carlson's events yesterday. This is somebody who has been accused of defending white supremacy, spreading misinformation about the war in Ukraine, as well as making disparaging remarks about women. So why did you believe that this is someone that you should be giving time and attention to?
Well, I take a wide range of media requests. I'm told by my staff, 96 individual media events or interviews since I got reelected, 24 press conferences. And I don't do a screening test to make sure that every person that interviews me matches 100% of what I believe, and I don't expect that that would be an appropriate thing to do. So I take a wide range of interviews from CBC all the way through to alternative media, because my job is to get our message out about Alberta. And I told everyone that I wanted to make sure that somebody who has a very loud voice in America knew that we were a partner in being able to provide energy security and energy affordability. And I got that message out.
So a bit of a glimpse from Premier Smith there on what that message was. But generally speaking, beyond that, what did she use that opportunity to discuss?
I mean, she actually phrased it very well. I think that's exactly why she agreed to do these events on stage, is because she does want to get Alberta's message out. And that is one of, we are the place that has the cleanest energy supply, and the rest of the world should be coming to Alberta for our energy supply. And also that Ottawa is continuing to kibosh these efforts. And if they continue to kibosh our efforts to reduce energy supply, we're actually going to run into big issues in the province of Alberta, where tens of thousands of people are moving from all over the country for the Alberta advantage, and operators are unwilling to increase their baseload power out of fear that they will come into conflict with Ottawa's 2035 regulations. And now we're running into serious issues where we're facing potential power outages, like a couple weeks ago when we had that cold snap, and people are worried if they're going to be able to have power, or whether there's going to be rolling brownouts and blackouts throughout the province. So she delivered that message very clearly yesterday. And honestly, it's something that we also saw Jason Kenney about, for all his flaws. When I covered his government, he did attend a Senate committee in the US, and he spoke about that same message. Alberta has the cleanest energy on earth, and the rest of the world should be getting their energy from here, no matter what the federal government says.
Yeah, and I understand from the clip circulating, she was also like trying to introduce the idea of Stephen Guilbeault to Tucker Carlson and like enlist his help in the fight against Stephen Guilbeault. What was that all about?
That was definitely one of the best parts of the day. We all know Danielle Smith does not like Stephen Guilbeault. She actually can't stand him. She said on multiple occasions she can't work with him. And she said to Tucker yesterday, I think you should put Stephen Guilbeault in your crosshairs. And later on, she said, I'm trying to get him fired and I could use your help with that. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. One of the best lines from the day, another really good one, was when Tucker Carlson, he seems to really dislike Chrystia Freeland. He apparently knew her when she was a journalist, and he says this lady is not bright at all. And he actually referred to her as a midget at one point, and that got quite a few laughs from the crowd. One of the fan favorites for sure.
Yeah, but I saw that clip. He also said she had like the self-esteem that you could like hide under in the event of a nuclear attack or whatever. Like she's very self-assured, which is I guess, a compliment in a roundabout way. I think we have a clip of the Guilbeault line you were just talking about. Let's roll that.
I don't know if you know much about Stephen Guilbeault. I don't know if I've ever heard
But
you.
I'm wanting to learn less, just by your description.
One thing I find so offensive, I mean, you talk about the disrespect to our province. This is a guy who is an environmental advocate. He's best known for scaling the CN Tower in opposition of fossil fuels when he was working as an environmental advocate. But he also scaled the house of our premier.
So he's a rock climber,
well,
not an engineer.
Maybe he'd be better at that. But imagine that. Imagine somebody going and taking a criminal offense, going onto the roof of a premier, and then they make that person in charge and trying to dictate to us how to pull our resources out of ground, how to manage our natural resources, how to manage our electricity grid. That's what Justin Trudeau has done. So I'm trying to get him fired, and I would love your help on that.
Yeah, I mean, what she said there, entirely consistent with what she and Minister Rebecca Schultz have said about Guilbeault at many other occasions and affairs. And I find it interesting that the rhetoric on social media appears to be trying to like put on her things he said at other points, either in his career or even at other points on stage, instead of like, does anyone take issue with what she herself said at this event in front of a crowd of, I think a combined crowd of like 15,000? And I don't know, I'm not aware so far, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, of any controversy stemming from anything she said.
Of course there isn't, but that's not what media is anymore. It's trying to associate with people that are perceived to be controversial and trying to paint those people as controversial as possible by taking clips out of context or saying that things are racist just because you're simply pointing to the statistics of something, or saying that mass immigration is a bad thing for our countries and that it's actually making it so that our healthcare systems are failing and that we don't have enough houses in our country and all these types of things. And that's really all that media is. And it's one of the reasons why I just don't watch it anymore. I don't pay attention to what the legacy media does, other than to occasionally point out major mistakes they've made, because it's useless and it's just untrue.
So one thing that I think will be interesting here is that, and let me back up. I'm sure there were many people on Danielle Smith's staff. In fact, I've heard whisperings of it. They didn't love that she was doing this. And let's face it, there are things that I disagree with Tucker Carlson on a lot of foreign policy stuff as well as elsewhere. But it seemed to be a win for her. I mean, she spoke to a crowd that might not even be connected to partisan politics because they were drawn there by an American speaker. And I think in that sense, she was doing something that probably will help her long term. I mean, there was one guy, I think it was Bruce Anderson, the pollster, who said, oh, this is going to like hurt her in the polls in the next election, which I'm like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this event actually boded very well for her. And I think something we've seen the premier really improve on. Obviously, let's remember, she took a break from politics and she was a talk show host. And as a talk show host, you discuss controversial ideas and you sort of say your thoughts on things. And during the election, the NDP rolled their clips of Danielle Smith saying all these, talking about ideas, and they tried to paint it as some really controversial and crazy lady for simply wanting open and fair discussion. And so I think we've seen that be a bit of an issue for her in the early days of her politics. And even still, she had that willingness early on to continue that discussion. And I think that she's really kind of coming into her own as a politician, and she's really learned to finely craft and tune her message. And so I don't notice that we're seeing those types of blips at events that she attends as often anymore, because she just is really focused. And I think she stays really on point and on message. And I think she did that yesterday. So I agree that this will really bode well for her in the long run.
All right. Well, we look forward. Are you going to be doing any of this on your show this weekend?
Of course. So you guys can tune in on Saturday for that.
So keep an eye out for the Alberta roundup. I kind of I hoped, because that would have been a really anticlimactic end to the interview. You said, no, we're doing something else. So that'll be on Alberta Roundup this weekend. Rachel, Emmanuel, as always, keeping us connected with what's happening in I don't want to say my favorite province in Canada, but
your favorite province.
It's
yeah,
my favorite province in Canada. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to The Andrew Lawton Show. Support the program by donating to True North at www.tnc.news.